Morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Tom Lydon with you on the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. Plenty to chew on. The calendar turns over to March, and there are a lot of topics top of mind. I'm thrilled to have these two guys with us today. Quick bios. This is Dan Wetzel from Yahoo Sports. Come on, Kelly, you're dropping stuff on the set to start us off. That's all right. Dan Wetzel's here from Yahoo Sports. Dave Burkett is here from the Detroit Free Press. Listen, if you want to get insight from people who are on the scene, Dave was at the Combine in Indianapolis last week. Dan was at the Olympics in Russia. So I got questions about both. Bring you guys on. Great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me here.
Let's start with you, Dave, because NFL's top of mind. You had a story on the front page of the Free Press Sports section today about the Lions salary cap situation. Give us your takeaway, kind of a month away, month and a half removed from the season and the draft and all the rest of that stuff going on. What did you take away from Indianapolis?
Well, I think, look, the talk down there is obviously about the draft, number one, because all the prospects are there. But number two, it's free agency. Free agency opens up a week and a half from today, and the Lions are going to be, they're not going to be huge players, but they're going to be players. They need a couple. They need to hit a couple positions. They need a receiver badly. They need a safety. They probably need some help at cornerback or tight end or defensive end, depending on what else they do with Brandon Pettigrew, with Willie Young, with some of their free agents. So if they take care of some of their own guys, then I would expect them to be a player to get a receiver, to get a safety, fill some of those holes that they think they need to in order to be contenders next year.
You can send your questions in to Dave. Use the hashtag 7SportsCave. We're going to be answering some of your questions in the second segment today. Your thoughts on where they do stand with the salary cap, because it did go up to $133 million, but how might that really affect what this team's able to do?
I wrote about that a little bit today, and Tom, really the thing is, look, they're going to benefit because the cap went up. It's about $10 million more than it was last year, but they're still not in a great situation. They still need to get Ndamukong Suh done. They still have a lot of money tied up in 3 players: Suh, Kelvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, more than any other team has tied up in their 3 top paid players. And I think the thing is, guys, this is all about Matthew Stafford. I mean, this offseason has been all about him. This season going forward will be all about him. They need him to be right if they're going to be a contending team.
Do you have a way to remedy that with 3 guys? Will any of those guys be willing to restructure?
Well, they do. I mean, they can do that, but that just kind of pushes some of those cap problems into the future. Suh's the big one right now. I know we've talked about that before, that he's a guy that he doesn't have an agent right now still. The Lions want to get him done. They want to restructure him. And if they can do that, they want to keep him around. But if they can do that, that should free up some more money on the cap.
It's amazing. It's still the lingering byproduct of this team being so bad through 2007, 8, and 9, because they had those picks under the old system. And it's weird to say, but in a way, they almost would have been better off if those guys didn't pan out, because then they'd be able to get franchise guys now at a lower cost.
At least one of them, if one of them didn't pan out, because then you'd have that talking to some people who know the cap a whole lot better than me the last few days, that's what they said. They said, look, obviously, you're built offensively with Stafford and Kelvin Johnson, and you need those guys, but the debate has been what you do with Ndamukong Suh. Do you trade him? Do you keep him? Do you extend him? Because that's going to take up another huge chunk of your salary, and maybe more. He's going to set the record for defensive tackles, most likely. So it's a lot of money to be tied up.
That's why all those years when this old system, the teams that, like the Patriots, the Ravens, the really well-run franchise, traded out. They saw it was fool's gold getting the really good player in the draft. Such a bizarre concept. It's why it's good they solved that problem.
It's interesting. Questions again at 7SportsCave. Use that hashtag. Let's hop in with Dan Wetzel now, who was in Sochi. You came back a week ago. I saw you hours after you got off the plane. Give me your overall summary of the experience and what you take away from what you saw at the Olympics.
Well, I wouldn't recommend it as a vacation destination, although maybe for Dave, it'd be good for him.
Take the wife.
Yeah, to head over to Sochi. No, it was a good experience. I don't think, other than our local ice dancers, we didn't, in a couple of the modern alpine events, we didn't really have a great Olympics. I think the hockey disappointments, men's and women, kind of laid on it. I think we had a good Team USA, but not a great one. But there wasn't those signature moments that we've had in past years, the Michael Phelpses or even like a Usain Bolt. There wasn't that great galvanizing moment that I think wrapped up all sports fans into the Olympics. So it's kind of a quieter Olympic Games.
John Neal was here last week, and he talked about the fact that 2 weeks ago, talked about the fact that he doesn't want to see the NHL players go back to South Korea. What's your take after experiencing that firsthand?
No, I definitely want them in there. As a sports fan, I get the NHL's argument, and we're going to talk about it. You get players injured there. You have to shut down your league for 3 weeks. If I owned an NHL team, I wouldn't want them going. But as a sports fan, that tournament is fantastic. The level of play is so exciting. And even though neither team panned out, the USA Russia hockey game that I got to cover was one of the most exciting things I've ever seen.
What's your sense of whether that, how much NHL hockey, Olympic hockey means to some of those NHL players versus?
If it's up to the players, they're going to do it, and that's the big thing. The players will love it, particularly the European players. The Finns, the Swedes, the Russians, they're totally into it. The Canadians want to do it. The players love the experience. Just making the team is such a career achievement for guys. It means more than making an all-star game. So there's so much there for the players. It's really just an ownership thing of saying, we're not getting any bang for our buck. But I think if you're a sports fan, this is a great tournament to watch hockey. If you like hockey, what is better than this little 2.5-week thing?
I had an idea pop in my head, and I don't know if this is absolutely crazy or not, but what if the NHL said, this is good for the league, and it's so good for the league that if Henrik Zetterberg gets hurt for the rest of the year, we will cover his salary. Do you think that something like that could ever fly?
Shouldn't they do that in some way with insurance?
I think they should.
I mean, doesn't insurance?
Well, the IOC should pay some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making, the IOC is selling this TV rights. They're making the money off of these guys, and they're not paying them because you don't get paid as an Olympic athlete by the, it's like the NCAA system. So you have these superstars going over there and risking their career and not getting, now obviously, no Cry Me a River, right? The guys are making a ton of money anyway, but it's you could see where that would be a problem. So
I get the argument from Red Wings fans. You see when one of your best players go down and you don't know if he's going to come back this year. It's hard to see, but I'm kind of with you. I mean, that's the only draw for me in Olympics right now, Winter Olympics. I flipped on a little bit of the figure skating for my daughter to watch, but hockey would be the only thing.
You're an ice dancing fan. You like the twizzle.
Right.
You like the twizzle.
We'll talk a lot more about Red Wings. Helene St. James from the Free Press is also here. The trade deadline's approaching in just a couple of days, so we'll get her thoughts on the Red Wings. But how about Michigan and Michigan State? The Wolverines clinch at least a share for the Big Ten title. That is 2 times in 3 years that they've done that. And what the heck happened with Michigan State yesterday? What is going on with this team? How did they lose to Illinois at home at this point of the season?
We were watching that game, not together, but we were watching that game, and it was just, I could not believe that the way that Michigan State played at home to lose again, those injuries have really ravaged them. But good for Michigan and John Beilein. I mean, he's really done wonders with that program. It's not too far that you look back and that program wasn't doing anything. That is a really good team right now. Still don't think either one of these teams has the goods to go the distance, but it's good to see Michigan on top.
Beilein's a wizard. I mean, you tell people you're going to lose McGarry for the whole season, and you're going to win the Big Ten with a couple games to go. Nobody would have bought that. That is a great program right now that they're running. Michigan State, I think, will rebound. They're trying to get their rotation. Appling's got to get a little more comfortable. They got a little work to do. I've just never seen Tom Izzo that almost just resigned to defeat at the end of the game, and they stopped fouling. It wasn't going to work. They weren't. You always have those college coaches that foul down 7 with 1 second left. They're trying, but Izzo looked like he had just fed up with that team yesterday. So they got to get their rotation going, but I'm not willing to write either one of them off, and I really think Michigan's a great program right now.
I'm sure we'll get a couple questions coming in using the hashtag 7SportsCave about Michigan or Michigan State, but I got to throw this out. A report yesterday in the New York Daily News that there conceivably could be interest in Isaiah Thomas coming to Detroit and being part of a group that could replace Joe Dumars if Joe D loses his job at the end of the year. I saw that and I said, I can't imagine anybody with a brain making that move.
Right? I mean, what has Isaiah done to deserve another chance? I know he's a legendary player in Pistons history and obviously one of the best the NBA's ever seen, but really as a manager, I mean, he's
most of what he touches goes out of business. Are we trying to get rid of the Pistons? I mean, that's not
the Knicks, college. He's never done
I don't
anything.
believe that report at all.
It's interesting. CBA down the tubes, right? Toronto Raptors were a mess when he was there.
Nice guy, but no.
Nice guy, yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I just, he's got a, I wouldn't touch him. If I was running the organization, you stay far away from my team.
And you touched on it briefly. You said that his legendary status as a player speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And being a person who's not from here and came to town, I understood that, but couldn't appreciate just this blind loyalty to Isaiah Thomas. It's almost as though people here sometimes haven't looked at some of the other stuff he's done.
Well, it's like the number of people that say Lambier should be coaching the team. Like there's no other coach. I mean, anytime the Pistons are looking for a coach, you listen to talk radio, Lambier. It's like, there's other guys out there that's really not the route people go. Maybe he'd be a good coach or not, I don't know. But there's still that bad boy thing. But, I mean, Isaiah Thomas, no way. I cannot believe that report would be true.
Look, and I'll tell you what, regardless of who whoever is running the team, they need to get players. That's the bottom line because they don't have enough of them right now.
We're just getting started. Dave Burkett, Dan Wetzel are here for the whole hour on the Sports Cave. As we go to break, I'll tell you that Jeremy Johnson joins us. He's going to talk to the people as he does every week. And let's check in on that Pistons board. They're obviously trying to get in that bottom 8 with the hopes of saving that draft pick, that top pick. Well, they're tied for number 9 right now. They got some quote-unquote work to do. Stay with us. The Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave comes back right after this.
Careful with a lot, Mike.
Got to be careful with the live mic. They caught that right there. Dan Tomline with Dan Wetzel and Dave Burkett on the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. Helene St. James from the Free Press will join us a little bit later as we talk Red Wings. But it's now the point of the show where we start to include you. Use the hashtag 7 Sports Cave and send us your questions for Dave or Dan. We're going to introduce our producer, Mike Foss, now, who already has fielded a bunch of questions through social media. What you got going on, Mike?
Oh, yeah. And before we get to Dave's Lion stuff, this Isaiah Thomas story certainly blowing up social media, and general reaction from Pistons fans is it's not something we want to see. Let's go to what some of the people are saying about that. Craig says, if you hire Isaiah Thomas for any position, you'll lose what little support you still have. He has a terrible track record. Mark says, haven't they suffered enough? AW says Goris is an idiot if he thinks Isaiah Thomas is the type of GM we need. And Tom says if Tom Goris hires Isaiah Thomas, then we have our answer if he cares about winning. So Pistons fans definitely up in arms about this report, whether it be true or not.
Now, Pistons fans should learn how to spell his name. That's 3 straight tweets that they misspelled Isaiah Thomas's name. But that's a concern of another color. Go ahead, Mike. What else you got here?
I'm interested to see what Dave Burkett's talking about the Lions. I know there's a lot of questions about the draft coming up, and now that the salary cap's set. So let's get to what Dave's got.
Forgive me for not having my glasses on and being able to read this, but the first question at the top of the list is what about Sue? This comes from Sean. He says, what if any are the actual chances that Sue gets dealt? And, you know, truthfully, I don't see that as an option right now, right? I mean, Martin Mayhew said as much at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis last week that that's not something that they've discussed. Look, you do that, you're still taking a $19.5 million cap hit. He's $22.5 million right now, so you're not saving that much money. And B, you're leaving yourself with a huge hole on the defensive line. I mean, he's one of the best. Say what you want about him off the field, but he's one of the best defensive line men in the game.
There would be interest in people trying to get him. He's still a dominating guy, still gets so many double teams. Still makes things happen. He's still a playmaker in a position where it's tough to find. And look, you see Seattle win the Super Bowl. The key to that game was their ability to rush and put pressure on Peyton Manning, which New England and the other teams in the AFC couldn't do. You have to have an elite pass rush to stop these quarterbacks, and Ndamukong Suh is part of that.
Well, down the road, that's going to lead to the question of how much do you want to protect Nick Fairley? And will you financially be able to protect Nick Fairley, who's going to be another first-round pick, who's going to be due some money? What would you do if I ask you right now, long-term Nick Fairley?
I think you keep Sue over Fairley. If you have that choice to make, you're going to keep Ndamukong Suh. He's a better player right now. He's more consistent. Fairley shows up every other game or every third game, and he's a really good player when he wants to be, but he's just not consistent enough right now.
Durability, too. We haven't seen that out of Fairley, the injuries and different things.
Sue practices all the time. He plays all the time. Fairley, the Lions are going to tender him a 5th-year option later on this spring, so he'll be around for the next 2 seasons, this year and next, and then they'll have a decision to make there.
You also have another first-round draft choice that you got to make a call on, and that's Brandon Pettigrew, a guy who came in here the same year Matthew Stafford did, a person who's going to, I guess in a way, be compensated at the first-round draft choice level based on what he's done, I suppose. What do you think the Lions will do with him?
Yeah, that was another question we got here on Twitter, and, you know, truthfully, the Lions want to sign him back. He fits into exactly what Joe Lombardi, the new offensive coordinator, how he described, you know, his ideal tight end, a guy that's good, a good inline blocker, can be effective in the passing game, but he's 29. He's had a couple injuries. I think the Lions are going to try to bring him back, but I think he might get a little bit more money elsewhere. You know, fact of the matter is, he's going to be one of the best tight ends on the market this year. Jimmy Graham got franchised. Dennis Pitta re-signed in Baltimore. Brandon Pettigrew might be one of the best ones out there.
Yeah, he probably is on that market. I just think that's a replaceable part. You got to make choices. He's a good player, but if you're going to you're talking about so much money wrapped up in some star players. Tight end is a position where you can find another guy.
And, you know, you could draft one. I got some questions here about the draft, too, and what the Lions are going to do in the first round. Eric Ebron from North Carolina, he's a guy that's been mentioned. You know, just from talking to people, I don't think he's going to be in the mix at number 10 for the Lions. I think they're looking at a receiver, Mike Evans from Texas A&M, cornerback Justin Gilbert, you know, maybe one of those defensive players, Anthony Barr from UCLA as a linebacker / you know, pass rusher. I don't think Ebron will be in the mix, but that's a position that you could add to through the draft.
It's amazing how much the Lions can dominate a conversation at any time of the year. Thank you for those answers. Ahead on the Cave, Helene St. James from the Detroit Free Press is going to join us to talk about the Red Wings, and they're going to drop some knowledge there. But first, we're going to turn it over to the people. This week's installment of Jeremy Johnson with the people.
All right, thanks a lot. Today we're in downtown Detroit asking people some fictional questions about the Red Wings. We're here to see who knows what and who knows squat. What injury has taken Henrik Zetterberg out for the season? Is it A, turf toe? B, he needs to have Tommy John surgery? Is it C, he was on his way to practice and he hurt himself and broke his compact disc? Or D, he's got a root canal?
I'm gonna go with
Ooh, it's Tommy John or compact disc.
Tommy John, what was A?
Oh my gosh, I think he broke his compact disc. Am I right?
I'm gonna go with Tommy John.
what is Tommy John?
I doubt it's D. D, root canal, I mean, I doubt it's D.
Turf toe, whatever that means. It sounds fun.
Which goalie is the best this season? Would it be Chris Osgood or Jimmy Johnson?
Chris Osgood.
I'm gonna go with Osgood.
This season he's been amazing, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely like Osgood, and he's been protecting the net for us. So
Who has been the best goalie between Osgood and Jimmy Stewart?
Jimmy Stewart, he's quick. He's good on his feet. He's a great goalie. He saved us a lot of times.
Chris Osgood or Jimmy Johnson?
I think you're lying to me again, and none of those people probably exist.
Another player to look out for is Luke Robitaille's number this season is
Oh
awesome.
man, Luke Robitaille.
Luke Robitaille's numbers are, I think he's got 150 goals in the first half. I think he's got about 30 two-point conversions already, and he's got about five solo shots in the red zone. I mean, that's huge, isn't it?
yeah, 'cause we've been doing we had a lot of shootouts.
The Red Wings have traded Pavel Datsyuk. Do you think that's a good trade or not?
Is it going to save them money?
I think a lot of fans are probably gonna be upset by that.
Wow, like that's
Huge. That is huge. They brought over Trey Burke from Pittsburgh. I mean, and they still got a lot of great players too, in Brendan Shanahan and Sean Avery and Jason Williams, and I can just go on. Thomas Holstrom.
Right, it's hard, but it's still hard to let go of the good ones.
From downtown Detroit, Jeremy Johnson, 7 Sports Cave.
You just let him loose, and you see what you get.
You're gonna
man.
lose. You look out, man. That guy's gonna take your job.
Osgood has been good, though, let's be honest.
Osgood has been very
He's not
solid.
let in a goal all season. I think he's done really good work this year.
Fun night on Friday as I was part of the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. On the other side of the break, our thoughts on some of the inductees. Plus, I asked a few of them what moment best defines them as an athlete. And the answers that we got might surprise you. Thanks for being with us this morning on the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. 7 new members were inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame Friday night. It was a really star-studded class headlined by Nicholas Lidstrom, who is in the midst of a fantastic week here in Detroit. Before the ceremony, I did ask a few of the guys if there was one moment that defined them as an athlete. And John Smoltz kicked it off with an answer that just might surprise you.
Most people would go to maybe to Game 7 in a World Series or something I did in my professional career. It's what I did in Lansing Waverly as a senior at the Diamond Classic. Hitting a game-winning home run, winning that championship to me defines who I always wanted to be, how I competed, how I wanted to compete and win at every level. And I go back to that more than any other moment in my life. So that's how much Michigan and athletics and my high school experience taught me and prepared me for the professional career that I was about to embark on.
You know, at the end of my career, lots of people were like, well, you never had the huge kick and you never played in the big games. And that's how people generally define the athletes. You know, and I suppose, you know, if anything, I might be a representative of guys and the athletes that have given everything they have and worked hard and did their very best for the team. And they didn't become legends on ESPN or didn't make the top 10 yearly plays and stuff. And, you know, it's just kind of a body of work there was game winners in there, of course, and stuff. But, you know, maybe that's it, of just trying to consistently year in and year out, no matter what the circumstances were, do my best for the team and the organization.
The '94 World Cup that summer, when the U.S. hosted the World Cup and Detroit hosted at the Silverdome, and that changed my life forever. I lived the power of what a World Cup can do to an individual when you go out on that stage in front of 1 billion people and you play well, the team does well, you got a lot of hair flying around, you know, all of that kind of stuff contributed. And I had a hell of a ride, and I had so much fun, so many opportunities, and I milked it for all it was worth and just had a blast doing it.
If there's anything that defined me, it's probably longevity. The fact that I've done both Michigan and the Lions for so many years, and I kind of fit real comfortable with the people that are listening. I'm a fan of both teams. I'm a Michigan native, and I think most people say he's one of us. And if there's anything that defines me, I'd like to say most fans feel I'm one of them.
It was a really fun night, and I think that Brandy and Alexi Lalas kind of stole the show with their speeches. They had the place in stitches. We didn't talk to Nick about that specific topic, but in your mind, do you think there's something that might define Nicklas Lidstrom? Was there a moment, or was his more a body of work, a lot like what Jason Hansen said?
Isn't his moment that there was no moment, that it's just day in, day out? He was excellent, came, played the same way, prepared, led. I mean, his consistent greatness, he was just a rock back there. I mean, obviously he had big moments, but I always thought that was just such a, to be able to build a team around a guy that you knew you were getting just 100% excellence every single night, quiet leadership, never a problem, is almost his moment.
I think that's right, and I think your comparison to Hansen is pretty appropriate. You know, he's going to be remembered as a smart guy and a great player for everything that he did. He'll be in the Hall of Fame next year. Hansen, you know, that's another guy that I don't know if there's many kickers in the NFL that earned as much respect as he did within the organization and within the locker room. I remember going to see him a couple years ago. He was signing everybody's autograph, every last kid in grown man that was there looking for something, signing toasters with Lions helmets on them and everything. He was the nicest guy I think that there was, and just real consistent with everything.
If he had played for a franchise that had won, you know, he's Adam Vinatieri. He is one of those legendary guys. He hit all the kicks. He did everything. He did his job as well as any kicker has ever done it. He just was on a franchise that couldn't get out of its own way for, how long was he? 22?
21 years.
21 years. Yeah. And I mean, you know, it's unbelievable. But think about this, NFL salary for 21 years. Yeah. No concussions, very few injuries. That guy, he beat the odds, man. He did a great job.
Pretty good gig. And I will say this before we go to break. Seeing the Nick Lidstrom highlights, as we'll see a lot of them this week as his numbers about to go up to the rafters at Joe Louis Arena, I think when you watch him now, you appreciate him even a little bit more because you took him for granted when he was here. And now you see his level of play. You're like, well, maybe he did play at a little bit of a higher level that we took for granted over the years.
That's how it always is with those guys. Once they're gone, then you realize what you miss. And I think you see that with probably a lot of these guys that got inducted into that. But Nick especially, he really was. I mean, for everything the Red Wings accomplished the last decade plus, he was a big part of that.
Well, we can bask in the glow of Red Wings glory, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the current Red Wings a little more with Helene St. James from the Detroit Free Press. She's back from Russia. She's ready to zero in on the trade deadline speculation. We are talking hockey right after this on the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Game. Well, it's a big week for hockey fans, a big week for Red Wings fans because the Nicklas Lidstrom ceremony will, of course, dominate the headlines on Thursday. But leading up to that, on Wednesday is the NHL trade deadline, and Helene St. James from the Free Press is here, back from Russia herself. Was it fun? What's your takeaway from the Olympic experience?
I had a great time, and I can't believe I've been in Russia for a month, and the entire time I've been warmer than it is in Michigan. That was incredibly disappointing to me to come home and find the exact same ice piles than when I left.
But you maximized your time, right? Didn't you go up to Moscow after Sochi? How was that?
That was fabulous. Then I finally felt like I was in Russia. It was cold, and but it was a lot of fun. It was incredible to see the Kremlin, you know, the flame, all the sights in Moscow. Was very, very fun.
Well, let's get into it because there's a need for this team to make some sort of move. There's been a lot of talk about a guy like Kessler being on the trading block for Vancouver. Do the Wings get rid of some of their young up-and-comers who the future is based on to go get a guy like Ryan Kessler?
I wouldn't do it, and I'll tell you why. Is Ryan Kessler going to take you through Pittsburgh and Boston, which is what it's going to take to get out of the East? Is he going to get you past either Chicago or St. Louis in the West? I don't see that happening. For what it's going to cost, I think he's going to cost you a Justin Applicator. He's going to cost you either Nyquist, Tatar, or Jerko. Ken Holland has been adamant he doesn't want to give up any more first-round picks, so then you're looking at probably a prospect. Ryan Kessler is Vancouver's third-best player. They're not going to give him away for free. I wouldn't make such a blockbuster deal myself. I'd look to add a defenseman. I think that's where they're much more in need of an upgrade than up front.
Is there a move out there, whether it's a blockbuster type deal or just some of those little, one or two moves that could put them over the top, that could get them past some of that competition in the East?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we all see every year once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. I think if they could pick up somebody like Andrew McDonald, a good defenseman, maybe cost him a second-round pick, that would solidify them a lot on the blue line. I think that's where their biggest problem is. Beyond Nicholas Kronwall, Eriksson, and Danny DeKeyser, You know, they get a little shakier once you're beyond those top 3 guys. So that's the move I would make, and then just see what happens. I mean, to me, so long as you still have Pavel Datsyuk in the lineup, you're still a pretty good team. You're better than most of your competitors.
What about Zetterberg? Is there anything latest on him?
No, I would be surprised if he plays again unless they go deep into the playoffs. I think the encouraging sign for them is Johan Franz in the past couple of games. He looks like he's going to be on one of his hot streaks. He was so fired up. I think he spent 2 or 3 days going back and forth with Neil about what happened. When he's in that kind of mode, that usually bodes very, very well for the Wings.
You know, we're going to get into that Chris Neil situation here in a little bit, but that was pretty ugly. And all of us kind of looked at it and said, yeah, ugly, but it probably doesn't merit a suspension. How do you weigh in on that?
I thought it was a thug move. I thought there should have been suspension. You don't mess around with people's heads. I mean, the NHL has to come down hard on this and just decide, do we send the message every single time relentlessly? You have to be aware of your opponent's heads. You have to take this seriously. Look in the NFL, what a huge issue concussions are. The NHL should get out in front of it, in my opinion, and be more consistent about. Same when Pavel Datsyuk got elbowed in the head and there was no repercussion. I mean, that shouldn't happen.
Is there a rule on the books about trying to fight a guy that won't fight, where it could lead to an advance? Because that's basically what happened. I mean, he hit his head into the boards, but he wanted to fight him, and he just wouldn't go.
Remember earlier in the season with the Philadelphia game when Ray Emery wanted to fight too? I mean, when you see guys who want to fight, I don't think you can obligate another player to fight if they don't want to, and that's where the officials should step in my opinion.
You know, we got a minute. Let me ask you about Jimmy Howard, because I was a little bit, I guess, interested, curious. He didn't want to talk about the Olympic experience. Did you spend any time with him in Sochi, and what do you think he took away from not playing games, but being with the U.S. Olympic team?
Yeah, I talked to him quite a few times. I think he was very excited about being there, but you know, you're a player, you want to play, so I think that was kind of a hard adjustment for him to know that he was a third string, and literally there would have to be 2 significant injuries in order for him to get in any ice time. So I think he enjoyed it, but then I think the way it just went so sour for USA the last 2 games kind of, you know, cast a not so great glow on the whole experience for him.
Who's most likely to not be here on Wednesday, in your mind? First person who's tradable.
You know, I don't know if they're going to move anybody. I think it might be for a draft pick or something. I think they would love if they could, you know, unload any of their unused veteran forwards like a Samuelson or an Eves or a Tutu, if they could just get rid of them for a draft pick, even to a team looking for a little bit more depth. But I'm not so sure that they'll do anything. I think they realize this is not their year, so why get rid of anything significant?
Bringing some Red Wing knowledge.
Smart.
Right? Good stuff. I appreciate you joining us. As always, you can follow Helene St. James on Twitter, also in the Free Press on their website, and pick up the paper like I did this morning and read through, just like we do in the olden days. Stay with us. We're going to be back. The Fast 5 Minutes coming your way on the other side of the break as the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave rolls on right here on WXYZ. Welcome back to the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. This is the segment that we like to call our Fast 5 Minutes. We've got Dave Burkett from the Free Press. We've got Dan Wetzel from Yahoo Sports. And we've got 5 topics to talk about here in a rapid-fire fashion. And it's going to start with the topic we just touched on with Helene, and that's the Chris Neil going after Johan Franzen. Is this, in your mind, something that should be a suspendable offense? Based on what I heard you say, I can kind of guess where you're probably going here, Dan.
I don't know. I mean, he didn't fight him. He didn't really hit him too hard. But I certainly get the point that they have to protect the head. I'm not sure they have anything on the books with the rapid interest in protecting brain injuries, which we haven't had in the past in the NHL. I'm not sure what's necessarily in the book. It's a dirty play. It's a ridiculous play. Guy's coming back from a concussion. No one wants to get in a fight at that point. But I definitely think. I'm just not sure there's something to suspend him for.
Yeah, I think it's made worse because of the concussion history that he has. I think people tend to look at it a little bit more. And I'm not, downplaying the fact that you're going after somebody's head at all. I mean, that's serious business. And, as Helene mentioned, the NFL has really done a good job of pointing that out and trying to get rid of some of those hits to the head in the game. I think the NHL needs to do that as well. But to me, I don't think this one quite gets to that level of meriting a suspension.
Maybe a little bit more drama for the next time when the Red Wings and the Senators end up playing each other.
Exactly.
Well, someone else got to go fight. That's the problem. It's a problem with this, though, with the head injuries going forward.
Next topic, LeBron James the black mask or the clear mask? It became an issue. Dave, you go first. Your take on this issue.
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. I don't understand why the black mask is an issue. I mean, it's just a mask. Does it matter? What are we trying to get rid of in the game when you can't have a colored mask like that? I don't quite understand it. I know they've gone with clear masks forever in history. I mean, Bill Laimbeer, right? He used to have a clear mask, but to me, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever that the NBA came down on LeBron James for wearing a colored mask. It's one of those, I don't know, it's like an arm sleeve or socks up, or it's not something that I think needs to be in the NBA's wheelhouse.
Absolutely. The NBA is about fashion. It's about cutting edge. It's about throwing things out there. Clear mask, they look terrible in the clear mask. Remember Rip Hamilton with that thing for years? He looked terrible. Put black mask, paint the mask, make it like a goalie mask, put anything, Batman, whatever you want to put on this thing to make it look cool, do it. LeBron James is one of the iconic figures in America, marketing and advertising. Let him feel comfortable looking as good. I love the black mask. I thought, totally keep it.
And they could sell it too, and he better put it on charity right now and get some money for it, help out a good cause.
You heard the buzzer. There was also a big put on the sales because they pulled down those hot links on NBA.com. They're not selling those T-shirts you saw anymore. Next issue. You're going to love this one. It's about the NCAA, and I know how much you love the NCAA. Urban Meyer in Ohio State had to self-report a violation because he had a recruit call him when he was at a lunch with Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was on the phone for 8 seconds, and that's a no-no. Do they go too far with this recruiting stuff?
Oh, well, there's a reason this rule book is 1,000 pages long. Totally stupid rule. I mean, the kid didn't even go to Ohio State. He had an 8-second conversation with Tim Tebow, who, if you know anything about Tim Tebow, would automatically tell the kid to go to the University of Florida, not Ohio State. I don't care how much he likes Urban Meyer. That said, this is a rule that every single coach knows you can't do. And Urban Meyer knew he wasn't supposed to put the kid on the phone with Tim Tebow. So Meyer trying to play, well, this is a dumb rule. Yeah, it's a dumb rule, but these are their rules, and there's a reason Urban Meyer makes $4 or $5 million a year or whatever. It's because of the NCAA and its ridiculous rules. Funnel all the money to the coaches, none to the players. So he's got to obey those rules.
I knew you'd get shortchanged on this topic. He's got a soft spot for the
He's writing books about it and everything. I know. But and you know what? I hate agreeing with Dan on all these topics, but he's absolutely right. I mean, look, the rule is silly. It's pointless to have out. Coaches know it. Coaches know all these rules that are in the book, so they got to do a better job about it. But I mean, no punishment necessary.
Always the topic during the NCAA basketball season, court rushing. And now the issue of safety has been brought up. If you saw a couple of games yesterday, you saw that some security was brought around the players and the coaches of the team who lost the game. We saw a really ugly incident earlier this week out in the WAC. A couple of players suspended. Court rushing. Is it something you support? Is it something you don't want to see? What's your take?
Look, I don't have much of a problem with court rushing. I think I go back to my college days, and not that I was one who rushed the court. I was covering a lot of the games, but these college kids are out there having fun. I think most of the time it's harmless. I think in this instance, it wasn't even the court rushing that prompted the fight. It was the throwing of the ball at another player. So I think the players need to take a little bit more responsibility. Yes, I do think some colleges, they could take more steps to prevent some of these actions from happening. We've seen, you mentioned it the other day, having a little bit of a rope or some players kind of create an alley for players to get out, but I think it's
I think you got to protect the players and the coaches, because it only takes one kid saying one thing and you're going to get punched in the face by one of these players. You don't need that, but to take away the court storming defeats the purpose. That's why it's college basketball, not the NBA. Nobody ever storms the court in the NBA. No problem with court storming, but they got to do a better job of protecting. And they actually, in certain games, need to do away with the post-game handshake. I know it's sportsmanship, everyone likes it, but in certain segments, just get off the floor and protect yourself.
Mike Krzyzewski has said, listen, when people beat Duke, more often than not, they're rushing the court, and he fears for the safety of his players. It is Oscar night. Let's wrap it up with this. Interesting topic that I'd like to talk about with anybody, so I'll throw it out to you. Name me a movie that you think was Best Picture worthy that did not win Best Picture.
Does Friday count? Does that count?
No, go with it.
Probably. Well, then, Friday. Like, all right, that wasn't Best Picture worthy, but that was one of my favorite movies of all time. Ice Cube, how can you argue with him, right? But no, we were talking about this a little bit before, and Saving Private Ryan, how does that not win an Oscar? When that was one of the classic movies of all times. That was
Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love. Are you kidding me? Shakespeare in Love over Saving Private Ryan? No reason for that one to happen like that.
We need to have a guy's Oscars and then a women's Oscars. They're screwing it up. Come on. Shakespeare in Love?
Well, what's yours?
Well, I'd say Artie Lang's Beer League is my favorite. I thought that certainly should at least been a nominee. I mean, we got to have something. But Shawshank Redemption, no, nothing. We got problems with this system. We need to come up with it.
Shawshank and Pulp Fiction.
Have you ever seen Shakespeare in Love?
I have.
That was a
You're
great
a good husband. Good
Forrest
husband.
Gump won the year of Shawshank. I got one that I'm going to throw out there. Wizard of Oz did not win Best Picture. Powerhouse, Twin Towers, it was Gone with the Wind, and Wizard of Oz.
Social media
back
blew
in the
up that
30s.
night.
It was
on that.
terrible.
Yes, the
You should have
36.
seen it.
Yeah.
Well, that's our Fast 5 Minutes. Dave Burkett, Dan Wetzel, appreciate your insight, guys. As we go to break, it's time for our high school play of the week, and that's brought to you by our friends at the State Champs Network. And this week, a big congratulations goes out to Trenton hockey coach Mike Turner. He set the Michigan record for high school hockey wins with 624. Trenton beat Wyandotte 6-0 in the playoff opener this week. State Champs Network covering all your high school sports, not just football, not just basketball, so hop on board at statechampsnetwork.com. Congratulations to Coach Turner. We'll be right back on The Cave right after this. Stay with us. Somewhere underneath all that white stuff, believe me, grass and pavement. We hope to see it all soon. 3 months from this weekend, we'll be in the midst of the Detroit Belle Isle Grand Prix. Earlier this week, IndyCar driver Catherine Legg stopped by the studio for a chat with our Brad Galley.
It's become a recent staple here in Detroit with the Grand Prix revisiting Belle Isle, and one of the new faces at the Chevrolet Detroit Belle Isle Grand Prix. Here she is, Catherine Legg. What's so fun is that you look different than a lot of these drivers, just by a little bit. Let's have some fun with you. Since this is Channel 7, let's do 7 quick-hitting fun questions, all right?
Okay.
I prepared them for you.
Did you prepare the answers too?
No, that's all on you. So get ready to go. In a movie of Catherine Legg, what actress plays you?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Ooh, that's a good pick. Why her?
I don't know, why not?
Why not? Who is the actor that accompanies and plays opposite you in that movie?
Matthew McConaughey.
He is the man right now. That's a good pick. If you're not racing right now in your life, what are you doing?
I have absolutely no idea. I cannot answer that because I don't want to think about it. I don't know what.
What's the most starstruck moment in your entire life?
I don't think I've ever been starstruck.
Not Matthew McConaughey walking down the street?
I'll be like, hey, what up, Matthew? No, I don't know.
All right, this is a fun one for to keep getting back to racing. What's the fastest speed you've ever been at in a car?
Indy, probably 230, 240 miles an hour.
No big deal.
Well, everything's going in the same direction, right? And you don't have
True.
to contest with the silly potholes that you've got here.
That is also true. Number 1 goal this season?
Win races.
Win races. How many questions was that? Are you keeping track?
No.
All right, let's do one more.
Can you count to 7?
I think I can count to 7. Best dinner on a nightly basis. Your favorite thing to eat?
Sushi.
Sushi? That's so boring.
Sorry.
What's
yours?
Well, chicken. Any type of chicken.
And that's not boring?
No, pizza. Let's be honest. I like pizza. That's the story. That's one of the great faces we can expect to see at the Grand Prix this year. A fun summer ahead for sure.
So we call sushi boring, but chicken's not boring?
Gotta get on Brad next time I see him.
Quite an interview there. That was very insightful.
I know. I like how she kind of called him out. It's like, you got these questions ready? Good job. All right. Let's check in with Mike Foss and find out what's coming in from the viewers here. What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, well, I also enjoyed Catherine giving Brad a little taste of his own medicine there. Well, we got some people responding to the movie discussion on Fast 5 Minutes. A couple people here on Twitter. Paula says, I'm with you, Saving Private Ryan. She saw Shakespeare in Love and said it was cute. Isaac, talking to Dave Burkett, says Friday for non-best picture. You're all right, man. A couple of other topics people are touching on. We got Warren in defense of Michigan basketball, says John Beilein has 2 Big Ten titles, sandwiched by a national championship appearance, signs of a great program and coach. And then as spring training continues, a couple of Tigers fans with the maybe eternal optimism. Nick says with the Tigers lineup this year and pitching staff, there's no reason they shouldn't win it all. And Bill says, what are the chances of Mr. I getting a World Series ring? Guys?
Thank you. Appreciate that, Mike. I want to hop into the Michigan one because, we talked Michigan State. We can't hear you. Hear me?
China's a kind of a...
Should I throw to that now?
Speak up.
Save up. That was actually good timing there. No, we talked about Michigan and Michigan State, but we didn't really give Michigan their due for winning at least a share, and it's likely they're probably going to win the title outright. Your thoughts on what Beilein's done?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, this is a sign of how player development, confidence, coaching, just the whole, this is absolutely not just a team but a program. You lose Mitch McGary coming into the season, you say that's your most important player, that's your best player. He's gone for the year, and they're in a spot where they've already had a share of the title with another week to go. Nobody would have seen that coming. It's a testament to John Beilein and what he's got going.
No, two things. I think you're absolutely right. The player development, I mean, Beilein has done a wonderful job with that. Two, Isaac, you're 100% right. Friday, look, I'm glad you're with me on that one. But three, going back to Michigan for a second, McGary, it just makes me wonder why guys like that, when you have the opportunity to go to the NBA, I think you should take it. Look, I'm not one to tell these guys to take money out of their pocket, but
he was a late first-round pick. Late first round. He thought he could play his way up,
yeah.
But
it's tough now. You get an injury like that, but to your point about Michigan and how far they can go, look, I don't know if they're NCAA championship material. I do think they're a really good team, though. You get in the tournament, anything.
Nobody was sure they were a 4 seed last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're right there in the title game. So I would not bet against John Beilein when you get into that tournament.
He's a good coach.
All right, we shared with you the record-setting accomplishment of Mike Turner from Trenton High School. We also got to know a little bit better this week the Trojan Pit. And these kids showed us why they are among the best fan bases in the entire state of Michigan.
Trenton is a kind of a hockey town. Everybody knows about the hockey team. Everybody loves the hockey team. A lot of it's been passed down. The what is your profession has been passed down for a while, but we just innovated the yes chant actually tonight. Yes, 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 yes. Definitely when they score, it's so much hype in one. We're such a small school, we come together really well. We all know what's going on. We love our team. We love our city. It's just a positive atmosphere. Being in the front of that student section for a chance, there's no other feeling through high school, I think. Going crazy with all my friends, and like, this is what I'm going to remember from high school for sure.
That's what high school sports is all about. Great job, guys, and of course we wish luck to Trenton as they continue their run here in the playoffs. Our final thoughts to wrap up this week's show as we continue on the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave on WXYZ. We will be right back. Welcome back to the final segment here of the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. Dave Burkett, Dan Wetzel, Tom Lydon with you, and it's time for our final thoughts. And the guy who gets to kick it off this week, Dave Burkett.
Well, by now you know the story of Richie Incognito, the disgraced former Miami Dolphins offensive lineman who allegedly bullied one of his old teammates and this week took a baseball bat to his own $300,000 Ferrari. Incognito was admitted to an Arizona psychiatric care facility shortly after that incident, his breakdown reportedly a product of his parents' ongoing divorce and, of course, the fallout from his own despicable behavior. In Indianapolis at the NFL Combine, San Diego State running back Adam Muema declined to work out because he said God told him that's how he'd fulfill his lifelong dream of playing for the Seattle Seahawks. After the Combine, Muema spent 3 days living in a Florida airport, unbeknownst to anyone. When he finally turned up, hungry and far less a prospect than when his week began, he was still wearing his NFL-issued Combine gear. Finally, Titus Young, the former Lions receiver, pleaded guilty Friday to disturbing the peace for one leg of a crime spree that ended his career. I made light of Young's behavior at the time, a lot of people did, but the truth is his problems go far beyond the course. Young, Incognito, Muema don't have much in common besides football, but all three should be a reminder to everyone that no matter your age, profession, or walk of life, mental health problems can be serious and debilitating, and they need to be dealt with accordingly.
And you know, Dave, you're always very consistent in not calling them concussions. You always call them brain injuries, which I think has become a staple of your coverage, but it gets to the root of what we're dealing with here. So good thoughts there. Dan Wetzel, your turn.
All right. In college basketball, Michigan swept the regular season series with Michigan State. And the knee-jerk take was that John Beilein's program has surpassed Tom Izzo's. My issue isn't whether such a thing is true. It's that everyone should take a step back from Michigan and Michigan State and instead wonder if the state of Michigan can surpass Tobacco Road or Kentucky as a mecca of college hoops. As we enter March, we have not one but two legitimate Final Four contenders. No, I'm not giving up on the Spartans yet. That should bring pride to both green and blue. Look, I went to neither school, so it's easy for me to see the value of mutual success. But I do know we in this state are forever being told what we aren't good at anymore, what we can't do anymore. Well, college basketball is not the most important thing. But here in 2014, I'm not sure that we collectively aren't doing it better than we ever have before. So forget arguing about which elite national program is better, Spartans or Wolverines. Just appreciate that such a debate is even possible.
Oh, it's interesting you bring that up because I'm going to talk a little bit about Michigan State specifically.
I'm sticking with them. You bail. You bail.
Didn't bail yet, but the track record at MSU speaks for itself. Consistency, toughness, drive, and success. But we've also witnessed on more than one occasion a Tom Izzo team that cannot get the car into the right gear, no matter how sleek or stylish the model might appear. Remember 2006? Ager, Davis, and Brown should have made a run of the Final Four, right? Bounced in the first round by George Mason. How about 2011? Green, Summers, Lucas. Fourth in the Big Ten, knocked out by UCLA in round 1. 3 years later, here we are again. A parade of talent. Payne, Appling, Dawson, Harris. At one point ranked #1 in the country. And where are they now? They've lost 5 out of 8 and have fans in green very nervous. Something better click, and it better click soon, or else this year's team will finish the year with a thud instead of cutting down nets on the way to Dallas. Those are our final thoughts. We encourage your feedback. Use the 7SportsCave hashtag. I thank Dan Wetzel and Dave Burkett for being with us this Sunday. Hope you guys had fun.
Good times, yeah.
Thanks. We'll do it again. Thank you for joining us, and stay with us on 7 throughout the week. Have a great one.